Hi, it's me, Tim Dodd, the Everyday Astronaut. Did you miss me in the last hour or however long it's been? It's not been very long since we've been live streaming a rocket launch because guess what? Actually, there were altogether about 5 live stream attempts today because this morning would have been the Starlink mission. Sorry, my brain's going to be fried too because it feels like it's just been all day me trying to remember what's happening and things getting shifted around. There are 2 Starship hop attempts today. Then just recently Salcom, 4 hours ago launch or 3 hours or what. I don't know what day or time or anything it is. Oh, how are you guys? Are you guys? Is Science Sunday, Rocket Science Sunday treating you guys well? It's been a day. It's been a good day, but man, it has been hard. There's just been a lot of moving parts. So, yes, Dakota in Discord, 100%. I would 100% lose my sanity if this was the norm. If the norm was this day for the rest of life, I'd just bow out. I'd be like, no, I can't do it. It's just been a logistics nightmare and just... Yeah, 100%. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to show you guys the pre-launch preview here so you guys can get an understanding of what Electron's going to be doing. So we can just go to a little website called everydayastronaut.com, click on the pre-launch preview. Looks like I'm supposed to also refresh it according to Andrew. Maybe something got changed. So this is going to be taking off here, guys, as the clock says. I need to put what happened there? Where's my pretty layover? Or layover, what's it called? Little me. There we go. Transition. Sorry. I changed a few things around recently. So, okay, so as you can tell over there on the clock, we're about 32 minutes. I got on air a little early. Whoops, my bad. It's just because I wanted to spend more time with you guys, obviously, because we haven't had enough live streams today. So... All right, this is going to be taking off in about 30 minutes from right now. The mission name is I Can't Believe It's Not Optical, Capella Space First Operational Launch. We'll talk more about that in a second. The launch provider, of course, this is a Rocket Lab mission. The customer is Capella Space. The rocket is the Electron. This is is this Block 2? Is this Block 2? Is the return to flight immediately Block 2? I'm sorry, I don't think I quite realized that. Huh. I know they've been making some little tweaks. I didn't realize it was happening right away on the return to flight. Okay, so the launch complex is going to be taking off here from Launch Complex 1A and on the Mahia Peninsula in New Zealand. Gorgeous Mahia Peninsula, maybe the best looking launch site in the world out there in New Zealand. New Zealand's just one of the best looking countries, period. So yeah, obviously they're going to just unbiasedly have the most beautiful launch site. The payload mass is 100 kilograms, 220 pounds, so not that big. This is a pretty, of course, the Electron is pretty small, relatively speaking. Will they be attempting to recover the first stage? No, but this is the only other company right now that I can really say no, but on their 17th flight, so this is their 14th flight, on their 17th flight, they're going to be working on the recovery efforts. They're already making a lot of progress towards that. That will be the first one that they try to actually splash down at first before they try to capture it with a helicopter. So we're really making some progress here. And I say we, obviously, as in they are, because I obviously have nothing to do with any of this. So these satellites are going on a 45 degree inclination at a 525 kilometer orbit. So yeah, that's pretty cool. I missed that before, I guess, didn't I? So the first stage, no, this one will just be crashing into the ocean like most rockets. They will not be attempting to recover the fairing. There are no plans for fairing recovery, so these are obviously new fairings. How's the weather looking? The weather is currently 90% go for launch. So fingers crossed, it'd be awesome if they just happen to nail this thing right at the beginning of the launch window. This would be the first launch of Capella Space Whitney constellation, the 14th launch of the Electron, the 4th flight of the Electron block. Wait. Are we calling the Block 2 just when they put the little RCS thrusters on? Is that what's considered Block 2 already for Electron? That wasn't a very big change. The big change is now they're going to be able to fly 300 kilograms to low Earth orbit. That's a substantial upgrade, up from 225. They're making progress just literally by swapping out batteries and having a biprop upper stage. It's going to be huge. And kick stage, really, because it's like a third stage. So here's the vehicle. It's not very big, 18 meters tall. Here, I actually have a model of this. Da, 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 da. Yeah, so this thing, one of these is not much bigger than a Falcon 9 landing leg. So they're actually quite small. They're only 1.3 meters wide, 1.2 meters wide. So less than 4 foot tall when they're laying on their side. That's why you can just go up and push it. You can push the dry tank around like it's nothing. It weighs very little. Even the whole first stage with the engines all attached is dry without fuel is less than a ton. So if you guys, let's see here. So this, what day was this? When was the last LC or the 13th flight? I feel like it was less than 2 months ago, right? That was in July. Wasn't it early July? Can anyone help me find that date? I don't remember. Oh, Pixar didn't happen. Here's the, let's just click on this just for funsies. July 4th. Yeah, it was 4th of July. That's kind of what I was sort of thinking-ish. Yeah, so that was their last flight. So we are, what, just under 2 months, and that's the return to flight. That is impressive, guys. Honestly, that's a pretty quick turnaround for an orbital rocket to have figured out what went wrong. And from basically, they've had a couple different little things here and there kind of explaining what went wrong. But for the most part, it sounds like there's just a simple electronic connector between, the batteries and the motors. Because don't forget, the Rutherford engines on this rocket are electric pump fed. So instead of having a turbo pump that burns some of the propellant and makes it spin a pump, instead it just has an electric motor and a lithium-ion battery pack to spin the pumps. And it's pretty simple and elegant, but one of the connectors somehow found a way to be able to jostle a unique thing they had never seen before in the test stand. And so they were able to track it down really quickly because they have hundreds and hundreds and thousands of sensors on this vehicle. And then once they were able to look at, what were the conditions during this? What was the shaking of the rocket? What was the temperature? They were actually able to replicate it in the lab and find how that connector could fail. They fixed it already in less than 2 months, and they're back ready to go. So that is awesome. So we're really, really, really hoping that they knock it out of the park on this one, as they have done in the past. So let's see here. I'm trying to figure out where does this one actually start, because we kind of had some, let's see, 9:30. Okay, so basically 9:30, we're looking at Dakota Swafford. So asks, where was this? Dakota Swafford had asked what was for dinner. There we go. Let me pull this up here. What was for dinner? So between the launches, for all of those, I know you guys are tuning in to watch a rocket launch so that you know what I ate in between them. I know this is obviously a huge part of what you're worried about at this moment in life. I had some tofu and broccoli from, it's maybe let's just say most people avoid this Chinese restaurant because they historically used to keep a lawnmower in the kitchen, and it burnt down with kind of unusual circumstances about 5 years ago and then rebuilt. It might be, I don't want to say dirty. Yeah, I do. It's one of those, it's the kind of Chinese restaurant is good because the food comes first. Food is the priority of the restaurant and nothing else. So I for some reason, am absolutely obsessed with their tofu and their broccoli there. So that's what I had. Yeah, that's their tofu's better than any other better than their chicken and stuff. It's really good. Any word of when Rocket Lab will launch from the U.S.? They're supposed to really soon. I wouldn't be surprised if one of their next couple launches. We haven't had any updates, but I think it's going to be really soon. Don't forget, they do have Launch Complex 2 out at Wallops, Virginia. So they'll be able to launch. It really helps, especially with classified payloads and things that logistically would be a lot easier to launch from the U.S. They can launch from Wallops. And they can service about the exact same inclinations because they're both almost exactly the same latitude. Only obviously in Wallops it's in the northern hemisphere, and in Wallops or in Mahia it's in the southern peninsula or southern hemisphere. Guys, I'm gonna have to sleep a lot tonight, I think, to catch up after today. My brain is just fried. Southern hemisphere, they are both around the same latitude, so that means they can't so basically, if you were to say you wanted to go around the equator, you'd have to launch from the equator without doing some crazy dogleg maneuver, an expensive dog leg maneuver as well. So say you're at 10 degrees north or south latitude, that is your minimum inclination basically. Kennedy Space Center is at 28.5 degrees. I think Wallops is around 40. I don't quite remember exactly. It's right around 40 if I remember right, or 38 or something, and so is the Mahia Peninsula. They're both right around that same bit. So hopefully that happens really soon. Thank you very much, Kiwi Chris. I assume Kiwi Chris is because you're a Kiwi and your name is Chris. Hoping that, yeah, I hope that we get back to seeing the Kiwis fly. All right, does Hydrolock's full flow stage combustion cycle make sense? If not, why not? So, okay, so yeah, the FFSC. So I talk about this again in that Raptor video that I have that explains what the full flow stage combustion cycle is. It's basically the most potential you can really string out of, like, if you were to take the atoms, each individual atom of your propellant, of your oxidizer and your fuel, and combine them, full flow stage combustion cycle burns a little. So it has two pre-burners, two small rocket engines, one to spin to hit the turbine, to run the turbine, to run the oxygen pump, and the other one has a turbine to spin the fuel pumps, right? So they both have their own turbine, and they're both running either fuel rich or oxygen rich. And then they pump just a tiny bit of oxygen into one and a tiny bit of fuel into the other, and that runs the system. So by the time what ends up going into the engine has already been burnt once. It's just very fuel rich or very oxygen rich. So then they come together as this gas-gas interaction, and it's extremely efficient, basically. So the full flow stage combustion cycle really only makes sense with methane and with hydrogen as well. Hydrogen, I believe, if I remember right, the demonstrator, the powerhead demonstrator built by Aerojet that was to demonstrate the ability to do full flow stage combustion, I think that was done with hydrogen, if I remember right. Can anyone remind me on that? I feel like, yeah. Do you guys remember? Anyone? Can you look that up for real quick, Discord or somebody? That'd be great. I'm pretty sure the powerhead demonstrator was hydrogen. The hydrogen has a lot of really big problems. Working with hydrogen is just simply a pain in the butt. That is why it's not very common in rockets. Yes, it actually has a lot of potential for a lot of energy, but it just even with dealing with it, look at how big the fuel tanks have to be. So again, my Delta IV Heavy back here, the little portions of orange here, that is your oxygen for that vehicle. Then here is your kind of in between the tanks, and the rest of these big bottom parts of this rocket is all the hydrogen. So hydrogen tanks are huge. So you actually lose some mass fraction because you have to have bigger tanks to carry the same density of fuel, or the same actual amount of fuel, basically. But hydrogen has more energy. Like, it has more potential energy. It can burn very, very, very efficiently, and it's very lightweight, so they can throw it out the back of the rocket at extremely high exit velocities, which can increase the efficiency of the engine. The problem is hydrogen's so tiny and it's so undense or lightweight that it wants to sneak through every crack and everything ever. It requires really complex and complicated seals in between the turbine and the pumps. It requires really crazy seals and gaskets between all the valves. They're just a pain in the butt to work with. I have no experience with that. This is just stuff I've read. But yeah, you can absolutely do a hydrogen full flow stage combustion cycle engine, but it just has a lot of disadvantages that don't, at the end of the day, reliability and making something reliably work every time without hiccups and headaches is more important sometimes than just eking out a little bit of extra performance. So yeah. All right, I missed Salcom Live. Please do a summary of the 5 launches in 72 hours. Oh man. Okay, well, sorry that you missed Salcom. It went great. That was the only launch that happened today. That was the only launch that's happened in 72 hours. Everything else has been a scrub. So we had the Delta IV Heavy scrub on Friday night for me, or Saturday morning, or when time doesn't exist. Then we have this morning Starlink got scrubbed. Then we had Starhopper try twice today. That scrubbed, luckily, because our equipment was totally down. And then, was it? You guys, tell me what if the powerhead demonstrator was hydrogen or not. Okay, anyway, so then Salcom was awesome. A beautiful launch. It ended up, doing its mission, a flawless little mission. And the cool thing about it is the first stage did a return to launch site landing. So definitely watch that after this because it was a beautiful mission. So, okay, hydrogen. There we go. Powerhead demonstrator was hydrogen fuel. So of course you can do You can therefore do full flow stage combustion cycle. Yay! So yeah, here we go. This is a question from Lee. Why does ULA still exist while SpaceX is superior? So first off, obviously it's easy right now to say that one company is superior over the other, but there's a lot of other things behind the scenes that matter. ULA has an unmatched reliability record. And I know that sounds like, it's like the most boring thing ever. That's like this shoe has a better shoe than this New Balance has twice as good of a warranty as this Nike or something. It sounds like the most boring reason to be excited about a rocket company. But when you're putting a $500 million or $1 billion mission up into space, reliability is literally the only thing that matters. That matters more than paying, instead of 100 million, 200 million, or instead of 200 million, 400 million. Like, it is worth it at the end of the day. And that's not to say that SpaceX isn't reliable, because SpaceX has gotten that figured out, especially with Block 5 and everything. Just seems to be a magnificent vehicle. But at the same time, like you do have to weigh the historical, basically how reliable the vehicle is. And a lot of the contracts that they're launching still, they won years ago, like 7 years ago. And back then, 7 years ago, SpaceX had flown like 4 times. You know what I mean? A lot of it's just kind of, they're still clearing the books and doing things, but they also can sell that they are the most reliable rocket company out there. And I know they seem really expensive, but it's not that crazy expensive. Sometimes 3 or 4 times more expensive, maybe. But they're working on bringing that cost down. Vulcan, I think, will honestly really compete, especially if they can figure out the reuse thing and all that. But Vulcan is an extremely high performance vehicle. So and it's all good. Like they're going to basically be winning. A lot of it has to do with lobbying power, but they're going to be winning high, military contracts and things like that because they've proven they can. And at the end of the day, sometimes that wins the next round of contracts too. So yeah, that's I don't like to poo-poo them because I think they've done incredible work. I'm excited for them to move forward and keep pushing into the 21st century. I really wish they had pursued reusability stronger with the Vulcan, just inherently, gone more ambitious. But it's at the same time, that's not really their bread and butter. Their bread and butter is let's not change anything so that we don't mess anything up so that we can keep our perfect record. Wildly Coyote says, I hear they have put a Roadrunner in the first stage, so I have a funny contraption to catch him. It's an Acme. That's awesome. That's awesome. David Willis, how's it going? David Willis says, the second coolest 9-engine RP-1 rocket is about to launch. Go Electron. Nod to yesterday. Oh, man. Yeah. A nod to yesterday. What was yesterday? Nod to yesterday. Second cool. Oh, yesterday or 2 days ago when he said that this is the second coolest orange rocket. And I was like, well, what other orange rocket? I was thinking orange rocket currently flying, and SLS obviously isn't flying. David Willis is a huge SLS fan. And but David was referring to the Space Shuttle, which I agree. Space Shuttle definitively was cooler than the Delta IV Heavy. Although Delta IV Heavy, I honestly am really fond of it. Like I said, I have really strong memories with the Delta IV Heavy. It is just an awesome thing. Hackman says, trying to listen to Our Ludicrous Future, but you keep interrupting me. From a Brazilian. Awesome. Thank you so much. Yes, don't forget, guys. I feel like I say this every live stream because people ask me all the time, your videos take so long. Why aren't you telling us about what happened with the something, or, that rocket exploded. Why aren't you talking about it, Tim? And it's like every single week I do a podcast. Every week we're coming up. This week is our 200th episode. So yeah, I do tell you about it every week. It's called Our Ludicrous Future. He had it spelled right up here. He even had it spelled right, which is impressive. But yeah, just look it up. It's on YouTube here. It's also on your podcast player. Download it right now, Our Ludicrous Future. And I talk about space each week, but we also talk about, futurism and like renewable energy and a lot of fun things too. So just science in general. I'm a big fan of EVs and cars that go fast, so we talk about that a lot too. Yeah. Eric, you hear about the Rocket Lab site in the US. Well, Eric, is this actually live now? Wait, or is this Pixar didn't happen? Oh, I fooled myself. Well, Eric, let me show you something. Did I hear about Have I heard about Rocket Lab's launch site? Let's see here. I have a little video here called A Conversation with Rocket Lab's Peter Beck. This came out last December. This is me at the launch pad, and I had a little conversation with the CEO, Peter Beck, and look at where I had it. I had it sitting in the flame trench of the launch pad you're asking about. So yes, I have, I'm sorry, this might be the cockiest flex ever. But yes, I am familiar with their new launch pad in the United States, and I'm really excited for them to fly out of it in the near future. So sorry, I had to. You guys should watch this interview though. If you haven't listened to an interview with their CEO, Peter Beck, or heard him talk, he is phenomenal. He knows every single little in and out of his rocket. He is, you know how people like to hear Elon talk because he's an expert, subject matter expert. Peter Beck is at least as much so, just as passionate. Awesome. Just I love picking someone's brain that can go down all these nitty little details like that. Because he has it all. He's got it absolutely all. Puppet toe, that is the perfect gif. Sorry, I was definitely flexing there. But you know, when you sit on the launch pad with the CEO of the rocket company, it's pretty great. Not gonna lie. Dina, thank you so much. That is awesome. Let's see here. This is from Yuri. 2 Chinese companies, Link Space and iSpace, are working with propulsive landing with flights planned for next year. The genie's out of the bottle now. Oh yeah. But what I've seen from Link Space and iSpace are both kind of, you know, grasshopper type flights, and not taking anything away from that. That's fantastic. I think there should be competition in this space. No pun intended. 100%. I definitely am excited to see that. But one of the things we need to remember, Rocket Lab should be going live any minute, hopefully. But one of the things to remember is this has been done for a long time. Propulsive landing and just little hops like this. Like, look at the DCX in the 90s. They were doing really ambitious propulsive flights like that. So they have had, you know, this has been done for a while. SpaceX definitely wasn't the first to do propulsive flights. Oh, speaking of, look who's live. It is Rocket Lab. I'm going to go full screen. And I'm going to get ready to show you guys. Because, yay. I'm going to go like this, though, for now. Does that work? Hopefully that works okay. Cool. I'm not hearing any audio from him yet, though. Maybe I messed something up. Knowing me, I probably messed something up. But, you know, maybe it'll come along. Hopefully we'll hear from him soon. So, yeah, there's definitely a big difference between just doing little propulsive. Mass in Space has been doing this as better than anyone else out there, basically. And so, I mean, this is a cool step. It's a cool technology to prove out. But getting into orbit and then recovering from orbit is still something that's really been unmatched from anyone else but SpaceX. So, yeah. Fallen Gaming. Hey, Tim. Got my coffee in hand. So, lucky. And I can't wait for the mugs and bottles to come in stock. And as always, thanks for the amazing work. We know what improvements they've made. Do we know what improvements they've made to the battery hot swaps in this last flight? So first off, thank you, Fallen Gaming. And yes, we are working on awesome new lines of mugs and water bottles and stuff. I'm really, really excited for that. Here we go. We're getting going already. But like I said, they didn't actually change. It wasn't the hot swap. It was literally a connector between the battery and the motor that found a way to like kind of wiggle and judder and ended up basically welding itself short. And so they fixed that. They were able to replicate it in the lab under conditions they didn't quite expect, something they hadn't seen before, and they fixed it. So, yeah, they're getting ready here, guys. So I'm going to pull this up, and I'll bring up their audio here in a second. But, yeah, I'm really, really, really excited for this return to flight. This is, like I said, this is a quick return to flight. So everyone, let's cheer for them. This is going to be awesome. I hope this rounds out a good Sunday night. I really hope that they just knock it out of the park. So I am so excited. All right, here we go.
Good afternoon and welcome to Rocket Lab's 14th Electron launch. Thank you for joining us as we launch a dedicated mission for Capella Space. My name is Ariana Ryan and I'm a junior manufacturing engineer here in our Auckland production complex.
And I'm Dominic Vu, a vehicle assembly technician here at Rocket Lab. It's great to be joining you from Rocket Lab Mission Control for today's launch. We are just 11 minutes away from liftoff at Launch Complex 1 on the Mahia Peninsula, and you're looking at a live view of Electron on the pad.
Today's mission marks our return to flight after experiencing anomaly on our last mission. In the weeks since then, our team has completed a thorough investigation with support from the FAA. We identified a single anomalous electrical connection as the issue, and we're pleased to confirm that corrective measures are now in place.
It was a tough day for our mission partners and our team, but we're excited to be back on the pad in record time with an even more reliable vehicle.
Today's launch is a dedicated mission for Capella Space, an information services company providing Earth observation data on demand. We've named this mission "I Can't Believe It's Not Optical" in a nod to Capella's synthetic aperture radar or SAR technology, which provides high-quality images of the Earth day or night in any weather conditions. Capella's space-based radar will provide insights and data that can be used across multiple industries, like agriculture and security, as well as disaster response and recovery.
That's right. So for this mission, Electron will carry a single 100 kilogram class microsatellite, which will be the first commercial satellite in Capella Space's constellation. At the customer's request, we will not be showing payload deployment for this mission, but we will share the news of mission success on our social media channels once deployment has been confirmed.
That's pretty normal. Dang, this person's lucky. Alice is only a few miles away from Wallops. I am very jealous. That's awesome. So I should point out this rocket, although it is completely black, don't forget, when it looks half white right now, or parts of it are white, those are the liquid oxygen tanks. And that's literally just ice on the outside of this black carbon fiber rocket. So when it went out to the pad, it looked like this. It was completely black. And now those sections are where the liquid oxygen are held in those tanks. I think that's awesome. That's why you can see it's cold there. Yeah. Also, thank you, Patrick, by the way. I threw your thing up there, but yeah. Jeffrey Tripp, I think they will recover from the U.S. I don't see any reason why they wouldn't once they get it figured out, but I think they'll want to figure it out in New Zealand first. But if it's working well for them, I think they'll keep doing that same thing. Absolutely. Let's see here. Oh, Gabrielle, that's a good idea. I think that's an old one. It's actually up on a SoundCloud somewhere, the old version of the Our Ludicrous Future theme song. I've got that somewhere.
A quick check-in on the countdown clock. We're coming up to T-minus 8 minutes to launch. Electron went vertical on the pad roughly 4 hours before now. Liquid oxygen and kerosene, the propellant and oxidizer we use for our Rutherford engines, have now been loaded on Electron. At about T-minus 12 minutes, our flight director held a launch go, no-go poll to determine the status for liftoff. And at this point, we are a go.
Yes.
But if for any reason we do have to call a hold, we have backup opportunities tomorrow and for the remainder of the window.
Some of you may know that we're working to make Electron a reusable launch vehicle. We recently completed one of the final parachute tests ahead of our first attempt to bring a stage back from space. We won't be recovering the first stage from today's mission, but we can share footage of those recent tests for a peek at what recovery will look like.
This is awesome stuff. They've kind of shared a little bit of this here. This is just a collage. I'm going to kind of be talking over it here because you can watch this on their YouTube channel already. But first off, we needed to look at just how gorgeous is this freaking launch site. I mean, it is absolutely stunning. So what they did the other day was, or not the other day, I don't know when this was, a month or two ago. And by the way, you will notice people are not having to use masks in New Zealand because guess what? They did such strong measures that they've been basically, they had 7 cases recently, but they had been COVID-free for 2 or 3 months. So you'll notice everyone was back to normal, living life like normal humans, which is something that I crave really bad. But the first drop test that they did like this, just to see what the touchdown velocity would be, and make sure everything looks okay, they used a radial parachute, just kind of a normal looking parachute, not a parafoil or a steerable parachute, like we see sometimes with, or like we will see in the future. So eventually you'll see them do kind of what SpaceX is doing with their fairings with a steerable parafoil. But for now, they're just testing this. And their first stage recovery on Flight 17 will be just using a ring parachute like this, just to get it to splash down in the ocean softly. and then they'll recover it and see how it looks and see how, make sure everything's okay. So that's just kind of the first step. And I'm really excited to see them just even do that and take a look at the booster and see how it does. Don't forget, I have a video all about all of this. If you look up Rocket Lab parachute recovery,
We cannot wait to do this in our real mission. With those final tests complete, we're now looking ahead to Flight 17, where we'll deploy the parachute for the first time. We won't catch it from the sky with a helicopter on that mission. Instead, Stage 1 will complete a soft ocean landing. From there, we'll bring it back to the factory for a full inspection. Now, as a reminder, today's mission is our 14th launch, so our 17th launch isn't far away.
Yeah, I'm excited because they're going to be cranking these babies out now. They've got a backlog, and they're just going to be hungry to be launching constantly now. So they'll be at Flight 17 in no time. So Kerbo, obviously, there's been operational and orbital rocket. There's actually one that can carry like 10 kilograms that's launched out of Japan a few times or something. There's been a few ones that are teeny tiny, like hilariously small. They can just put up very, very little. But this is definitely like...
The eagle-eyed among you would have spotted our second launch pad being built at Launch Complex 1, just to the right of camera view on your screen. This second pad at LC1 marks our third in total, joining the existing pad at LC1 and our pad at LC2 in Virginia. Having multiple pads enables us to launch rapidly within days or even hours. This represents a truly responsive space capability for small satellite operators. The next major construction milestone for LC1B is the arrival of the pad's strongback and launch mount in the coming weeks.
Sweet.
In the final minutes of the countdown, the teams have conducted their final checks. These include things like terminal checks of the launch pad at Launch Complex 1, including hydraulic and igniter pressure checks and the retraction of the strongback. The avionics team has also completed its final checks before Electron's automated flight termination system is enabled for flight. Now, the flight termination systems are a vital part of launch operations. Most launch providers use a ground-based system that involves a person making the decision to terminate a mission if it strays off path. But Rocket Lab is one of the very few U.S. launch companies to fly with an autonomous system.
Now we're in the final minutes before launch, and soon Electron's flight computer will enter the launch auto sequence. These are the final steps leading up to ignition of the 9 Rutherford engines for liftoff. We're going to hand you over now to listen in on mission control, and we'll be back checking with you shortly after liftoff.
Sweet. This is
critical LCCs.
I'm liking this. All right, so we have a few more good ones. Really quick, I want to get this. I did see this question. I'll try to get to all your guys' here, hopefully. Any idea how much recovery eats into payload? So by the time they do the recovery stuff, that will be the bigger upgrade that will actually increase payload capacity, including the hardware recovery. So luckily, for every kilogram you add to the first stage, it only adds... So for every 8 kilograms you add to the first stage, it only subtracts 1 kilogram from your payload capability with this particular vehicle. So they could add, say, 80 kilograms of parachute. It only reduced the payload capacity by 10 kilograms.
Click on LD on mission cord. Confirm a flight computer as goes a green.
But luckily... Again, we're going to make sure green.
Lock the auto sequence and confirm.
Confirm.
But luckily... The upgrade to the battery packs and the bipropellant makes it so they can actually lift more and make up for not only that 10 kilograms, but even put 75 more kilograms on top of all that. So really, it will not negate from their performance hit at all. And that's one of the big reasons why they don't do propulsive landing, is because there just aren't very good margins for their vehicle. It's already riding kind of a pretty thin edge. But the cool thing is they can run the first stage to depletion because they don't have turbo pumps, so they don't have to worry about like cavitation or sucking up bubbles. They can just run it until the tanks are dry, and then the electric pumps are just like, oh, we'll just stop spinning, no big deal. So yeah, pretty cool stuff there. This is an interesting question here from John Moore. What is Rocket Lab's future when Starship becomes operational? Starship will be cheaper. Do you think it'll drive Rocket Lab out of business long term? It's kind of like, did trains make FedEx, or the USPS? Did
all AVBs
those two things can exist at the same time? Because it'll be
fully on internal power.
Again, okay, just making sure we're listening. Because it is, if you want a dedicated ride to where you're going in a hurry, you might have to wait months for a Starship ride to a destination that's not exactly where you want to go. So, yeah, so really, there's still going to be a market. I think they'll have to continue to be competitive, which I think they're making good strides to do. And I think reusability will help that. And, you know, eventually they'll just keep tweaking and making it cheaper and cheaper and cheaper and keep themselves competitive and
disabled.
continue to be a dedicated rideshare. Just like, you know, again, Uber exists even though there's buses. Let's see. So I'm trying to... so yeah, T-Town Joe in our Discord wants to know, can I define AFTS, Automatic Flight Termination System? You'll hear that used often. So that is a flight termination system that is 100%
Stage 1 and Stage 2 are pressed.
autonomous. There we go. They are totally
High-flow
pressed for
engine
flight.
purge is enabled.
Here we go. We're already looking good, guys. Right at the beginning of the window. I love this. This is awesome.
Deluge is activated.
Water deluge is ready to go. So they're now putting a bunch of water at the base of the rocket to help absorb sound when it ignites its engines.
T-minus 20 seconds and counting.
Again, that's not smoke you're seeing. That is cold condensation from liquid oxygen and now from the water vapor too, just from the water deluge system.
10, 9,
Here we go.
8, 7, 6,
It sounds like
5,
Peter that time.
4, 3, 2, 1.
Yes!
Liftoff.
Oh! Right at the beginning of the window. Yes! That little thing just screams. Oh, I want to hear that in real life. That little thing just screams. Come on, baby. This is it. You guys can do this. You
Stage
got
1
this.
propulsion is nominal.
You got this, Rocket Lab. Oh, sorry. I'm in front of the telemetry. Let me move that. Good call. Sorry about that, guys.
As you can see on your screen, we've had a successful liftoff of our 14th Electron launch from Pad A at Launch Complex 1. One of the first launch milestones we'll come up
PG
against
battery
is
discharge
max
number.
Q, or maximum aerodynamic pressure. What this basically means is this will be the point
Drink
where
Chevron
Electron
1.
will undergo the maximum mechanical stress during launch.
Yes. Look at that big chunk of ice. Or is that their label peeling off?
Max Q.
Entering Chevron 2.
A little bit of something kind of peeling off there. It's not
An
a-
Electron has
Entering
successfully
ship
cleared max Q.
Yeah, baby. You guys got this. Look at how gorgeous that is. Now, of course, notice this exhaust plume getting bigger as the atmosphere is getting thinner and thinner and thinner. There's now no atmosphere to push in against the exhaust, so it just continues to expand out the higher the altitude.
AOS Chatham Station.
Next up
Acquisition of
is
signal.
MECO and separation of Electron's first and second stage. MECO, or
seconds
main engine
remaining.
cutoff, means the 9 Rutherford engines on stage 1 will power down ahead of stage separation. Once we've had a clean separation of the stages, the vacuum optimized Rutherford engine on stage 2 will ignite
Stage
and
1
continue to
propulsion
propel the
nominal.
Capella payload to orbit.
Whew. For some reason, I want this to go really, really well.
Speed is 2 kilometers per second. Altitude is 53 kilometers.
Look at that. That is gorgeous. The Mahia Peninsula. Wow. This thing is just screaming.
5 seconds to MECO.
Just screaming. Huh.
Separation.
Stage
yeah.
to ignition.
Oh, yeah. That is awesome. That is awesome.
Successful separation and stage 2 ignition confirmed by mission control. All systems are continuing nominally.
This is good.
At T plus 3 minutes, we're just seconds away from Electron's fairing separating to make way for payload deployment.
HVB battery discharge nominal.
Fairing separation.
Good. There we go. There they are. The two fairing halves.
And there it goes! You can see Electron's fairing falling away from stage 2.
That's the little top nose cone here. Yeah, baby.
Guidance is nominal.
Stage 2 propulsion is nominal.
Wow. Okay, I'm like still holding my breath. Sorry, guys. You guys can do this. So you'll notice that the nozzle there is glowing completely orange because it
If
is.
you're just joining us for this launch, we've had a successful liftoff, stage 1 burn, stage separation, and ignition of the second stage vacuum optimized Rutherford engine. Velocity is currently 10,000 kilometers, and altitude is 152 kilometers an hour. As we approach battery hot swap in approximately 2 minutes.
All right, battery hot swap's a pretty big deal. This is it was only a couple seconds before battery hot swap that connector happened to fail last time. I know they're going to be sighing a little bit of relief once the battery hot swap is successful, because they do have 3 batteries. They take 2 of them off to ditch that dead weight, because once those batteries are depleted, no need for them anymore. So now you'll notice that the nozzle right there, what we're seeing, the second stage bell nozzle on the Rutherford vacuum, is glowing orange, and that's because it is radiatively cooled. So the part above that, even though it's way hotter, that part that is just straight up metal at the very top of your screen, that part
A quick update from Rocket Lab Mission Control. Electron's second stage burn continues nominally as we approach 5 minutes and 0 seconds into flight.
230 seconds remaining. Altitude is 180 kilometers. Speed is 1.7 kilometers per second. And guidance remains nominal.
Yes. Okay, so
Stage 2 propulsion is nominal.
okay, still going well. So what I was saying though is to notice that the part of
HVB battery discharge holding nominal.
okay, so the part that's kind of gray or silver, the normal metal part, that part is cooled by the liquid fuel. They run fuel through it, and liquid oxygen or liquid fuel or liquid oxygen. I don't know exactly
As we
which
mentioned
one.
before,
to
in
keep
about
it
a
cool.
minute, Electron's next action will be to perform a battery hot swap, as the pumps on the Rutherford engine drain the power of the high voltage batteries on board. An instantaneous switch to a fresh battery is performed to keep propulsion nominal.
Yeah, some people are looking at that lens flare, that little orb kind of looking thing, right on the nozzle. Now that is just a lens flare from the sun off to the left part of the screen. Really wide angle lens, easy to pick up lens flares. And you're also seeing the actual exhaust gas interact with you're just seeing it cut through the sunlight. It's a pretty cool shot right now, actually. So it looks like it might be moving through air. We are well outside of the atmosphere now, 200 kilometers up. There is no air. The only thing you're seeing is the hot exhaust gas coming out of that nozzle, because once it's out of that nozzle in the vacuum space, it goes basically everywhere. It goes like sideways, and that's why you want a long nozzle to help to direct that flow straight out, because in the vacuum space, there's nothing to keep it going straight. There's that hot swap.
Successful.
Good. Yes. Look, they have 7 cases in their entire country and everyone's masked up.
Yes, and there goes the collective
battery
sigh of
discharge
relief
nominal.
with confirmation of a successful battery hot swap.
That's awesome. Keep it up, guys. Yes. Oh, this is going to be that was a quick return to flight. Like,
Stage 2 propulsion is holding nominal.
I am impressed. Holy cow. So yeah, so you're seeing a lot of
100
cool
seconds
things here.
remaining.
There's actually a lot to unpack
AFTs has saved.
in these shots. That was the flight termination system is now no longer needed, because if it were to cut out right now or explode, it would not survive re-entry and not do any damage to anything down on Earth. So it's going to be...
In another minute and a half or so, the engine on Electron second stage will power down. Shutting off the engine at this point will slow down the vehicle slightly before final stage separation. From there, the kick stage will ignite its Curie engine and propel a Capella payload toward its targeted orbit.
Payload deployment will mark the end of this mission, which will occur around T plus 60 minutes. We'll be ending the broadcast shortly after we hear the call for successful SECO and stage separation.
So yeah, it's okay if the
50
altitude
seconds remaining.
is descending, because those of you that have played Kerbal Space
HVB
Program know,
discharge is holding nominal.
sometimes in order to raise your apoapsis, you might even need to lower it down to raise it on the opposite side of the planet. So that is okay. It's still speeding up. So it lofted up, and then sometimes you'll realize in the middle of the flight, depending on your actual mission parameter, it is okay for it to be falling for a little bit. So
20 seconds remaining. Guidance is nominal.
see, guidance is nominal. They're still, yep. So now see it flatten out here, and once it's done, it's actually going to be increasing in altitude once it's done burning, which is weird, but it'll be slowing down because it's going to be coasting up. And then the kick stage will be what circularizes it. There's another kick stage.
And CQ confirmed.
Yes. Okay, good. Oh, I bet Peter's happy right now. You can see him in the left there, top left. I hope they still show kick stage separation. I didn't do pointy end up, flamey end down. And the rocket still worked.
And as you just heard from the team in mission control, the engine on Electron's second stage has shut down and the kick stage has separated. The kick stage is now on its way towards payload deployment. We'll share the news of mission success on Rocket Lab's Twitter and Facebook pages, so keep an eye out for confirmation there.
Before we close out, a big thank you to our mission partner, Capella Space, for joining us on our return to flight mission. And thank you for being with us for our 14th Electron launch. I'm Ariana Ryan.
And I'm Dominic Vu. This is Rocket Lab Mission Control, signing off.
Dang. That was nice and quick. That was... I kind of thank you, Rocket Lab. I can actually maybe get some sleep tonight. What's that mean? Dang. Okay, so that was awesome. Yeah, they made that look easy. So what will happen is after that separation there, the kick stage, you have a little kick stage that ends up circularizing. And what that does is allows the first or the second stage to be able to re-enter so they don't have any space debris. And then the kick stage can circularize. So I'll try to get through some of your guys' questions here before I go to bed because that is sounding awesome right now. But we still had a few more super chats from you guys. So let's see here. This is from Thomas. When I watched other channels, they were saying that SAOCOM will be affected by NROL scrub. Obviously, it wasn't, but why couldn't have? So the idea and the reason that a lot of people thought that maybe it was not going to happen. Let me remove my overlay here from you guys. And then you won't see the clock still, even though the mission's done. The reason that people thought that is because it would be basically flying really close, relatively close, to a over $1 billion mission, right? And if you do that, there's just increased risk. One time SpaceX couldn't land the booster at Vandenberg because there was an NROL mission there out on the pad. They just didn't want to risk it. So who knows? That was kind of what people were assuming, is that when that rocket is out there with that expensive payload, that other launches would kind of have to all bow down to it. And they didn't. They were able to do it. And they even landed only like 5 kilometers away from it. So pretty awesome. Icefire wants to know, are there Falcon 9 boosters and other rocket parts from failed landings at the bottom of the ocean off the coast? Can people fish them out? Yep. Yes and yes. Yes, yes, and yes. Yeah. Good luck somewhere really deep. Don't forget, Jeff Bezos recovered the F1 engines from the Apollo 11 mission Saturn V. He went out on this big expedition. Was it James Cameron too, or am I just making that part up? Because James Cameron loves doing stuff in the ocean. But yeah, Jeff Bezos went out and did this big expedition and recovered the F1 engines and put some of them in museums and stuff. I think he kept one for himself. I don't blame him. Yeah, so you absolutely can do that. I don't know if that's going to be as worthwhile because I think it cost millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars. But Jeff Bezos has done that, so you sure can. Real quick before we continue, before we lose all of you guys, because it's I'm assuming most people are probably getting out of here quick. Today, I do have 10% off this shirt, the Everyday Astronaut logo shirt that on the back has a big old cool logo. This is 10% off in our web store today using coupon code LAUNCHDAY. All one word, all lowercase. So go check it out by going to everydayastronaut.com/shop. That obviously helps me continue to do awesome stuff and keep upgrading all of the equipment here in the studio and down in Boca Chica, and just help pay for all of the things that we're working on to try to bring you guys the best spaceflight coverage as possible. So yeah, go ahead and shop around. That's shop.everydayastronaut.com. I really appreciate all of you guys that rep the merch. I just love it. It means so much to me seeing on social media people like showing me their shirts and stuff. It seriously means the world to me. It just makes me like beside myself that's even a thing. And also, if you want to help me do what I do, consider becoming a Patreon supporter by going to patreon.com/everydayastronaut, where you can gain access to some exclusive live streams, to our Discord channel, which is awesome. Hello, Discord. Everyone say hi. Hi, Discord. I love you guys. Discord's been nuts lately because of, because we've been doing a lot of stuff. So, love you guys. Thanks for staying up with me, everybody, especially over there in Europe. We have a lot of Europeans. So if you're looking for like a community to talk to, people to help you answer questions, and if you just want to help learn more about space and do all that stuff, I would, come hang out. It's a lot of fun. You can gain access to our Discord channel by going to patreon.com/everydayastronaut. All right. Let's see. This is from Space Guy. Their launch site is beautiful, but I'm in Maryland and would love to see my first launch from a neighboring state. Yeah, that's great. I think that's awesome. You definitely should see their launch when they launch from Wallops. It'll be gorgeous. I don't think you'll be sad if you do that, because Wallops is really pretty too. Chinquetique or whatever, with all the I'll just call it Pony Island because there's just ponies running around everywhere. Definitely do it. From Logan. Kia Ora from New Zealand. Whenever I see NZR 401 restriction go live, I get a little excited. That must be the flight restriction around the launch pad. That is super cool. And thank you for saying hi, Logan. So this is Jordan. Did they do a test flight between this flight and Pix? No, they just went straight to it. They talked about doing a dedicated ride, but I think they ended up just being like, we've got this figured out. We're just going to do it. And they launched right away. And Anshuman says, did you see how SpaceX kind of flexed by including the BO pad, the Blue Origin pad, in their wide shot landing? I absolutely did. Very excited to see New Glenn take off. So the funny thing about that flex, though, I agree, it kind of felt like a flex by including the launch pad in the shot. But the only thing is, it makes the Falcon 9 look tiny. That made the Falcon 9 look tiny and made New Glenn's launch pad look freaking huge. Because it is big. New Glenn will be huge. New Glenn is almost the size of the Saturn V. It's a little bit smaller than Starship, but it's way bigger than Falcon 9 and Falcon Heavy. It's a really ambitious first orbital rocket. So in a way, they flex on them because they're like, yeah, this is totally normal for us. Good luck. You'll have to play catch up. But at the same time, it's like the pad that they're putting out there, that Blue Origin's putting out there at LC-36, is freaking huge. It's the biggest pad out at Kennedy Space Center right now. Like, it is. Starship will be bigger when it's ready to go, but like it'll take the reins for a little bit there at the Kennedy Space Center probably. Let's see here. This is from, where did it go? It was awesome. Dakota. Where did that go? It was awesome to see and hear you collaborate with NASA Spaceflight today. Go Team Space. Oh, I just love, how can you not love NASA Spaceflight and everything that they're doing? They're doing such awesome videos every week, every day for us, literally. They're just absolutely killing it. And Boca Chica Mary has been such a hard worker, a dedicated person doing such awesome work for the community. So, I love them. They're some of my good friends. These are people that whenever I see them, we hang out and we all go have a drink and just talk rockets. They're good people. I just love that there is a tight community of spaceflight enthusiasts, you guys included, all of you that are still tuned in. Even after the rocket is done launching, there's still 8,000 of you hanging out here. That's what I love to see. That is the community that I crave. That's the community I want to help curate and mold and help become into existence as a positive force of good in the world, because we're living in crazy times here, people, and this is something fun to be excited about and come together. And so, there's no like competition in this. If you feel threatened by other people doing things, then you better just work harder. And I think all of us have found a nice little niche in the rocket launch, segment. NASA Spaceflight does incredible work, and we're all extremely grateful for that. So I love hanging out with my friends today. It was just great. Knock Official says, question, why hasn't SpaceX launched any Falcon Heavy rockets recently? Probably my favorite SpaceX rocket. My favorite SpaceX rocket too, and still Starship starts flying. The reason is there's only so many launches that they have had on contract. We'll see one here before the end of the year. And then there's probably, my guess is we won't see too many more than a dozen Falcon Heavy launches ever, just because it's only filling so many needs before Starship is available. They're just really trying to sell a couple flights that the Falcon 9 couldn't service. And then I think all those will go over to Starship. So, yeah. Tom, are we going to get some good sheep shots? Rocket Lab normally, there's literally sheep out there like in the pasture. So I didn't really look and see if there's any. I was too worried about the rocket and not confirming pointy end up, flaming down. Guys, I don't know what to do. Is this some kind of joke to us all? Is the pointy end up, flaming end down thing a joke? Answer, yes. Thank you very much, Ferrari Man 601. Thank you. That means a lot. All right, David Willis again says, so we have a proton rocket and an electron rocket. I wonder when we'll get a neutron rocket. I think what it means is you take a proton rocket, you stick a bunch of electrons around it as boosters, and there, my friend, you have a neutron. That'd be super cool. Or you just would have an atom, I guess. Maybe like a neutron upper stage. Yeah, anyway. Ahmad says, I'm 1 year from graduating with my mechanical engineering degree. Rocket Lab and SpaceX make you want to work for them. That is awesome. Keep up the great work, Tim. Hey, Ahmad, great work getting there. You have 1 more year. Kick some butt. Go out there and go work your dream job and work hard because we need it. We need hardworking people to push humanity further and help us solve problems that are currently impossible. But they're only impossible because they're hard. They're really hard. They're really hard problems to solve. And it takes the smartest people in the world to make this stuff possible. So, super cool. Super cool. Joseph says, thanks for your hard work, Tim. Such fortitude and professionalism. We appreciate it. Thank you very much, Joseph. I don't know about professionalism, not quite the traditional professional, but I do appreciate the sentiment. So, Mark Shellard, did you see there is a supercharger on South Padre Island? I did. They included some of those 72 like kind of urban chargers on South Padre, which is a nice bonus. Now we just got to get those ones in Brownsville so that when you're going back and forth, or if you want to stay in Brownsville, it wouldn't be such a big deal. Absolutely. Very excited about that. Eric S., long day for you. Your channel is awesome, especially for live launches. I get alerts for any launch from an Android app. Do you recommend one? Yes. I speaking of NASA spaceflight, there's a couple good ones. Next Spaceflight is a really good one. There is also, these are apps you can use on your phone that will help alert for upcoming things. I really like Next Spaceflight. That is definitely a really good one. There's also Launch Alarms and SpaceX Now. So there's some really, really good ones. If you would just want SpaceX Now is phenomenal. But Next Spaceflight is really good, and so is Launch Alarm. So definitely get those. I don't know what all they're available on, but yeah. Christopher would love a video about how Tesla, Neuralink, Starlink, and SpaceX will provide all the foundation for Mars colonization. Yeah, maybe just like how all of Elon Musk's company will work together to get humans to Mars, because I think that is one of those like little puzzle pieces that people forget, that literally everything in Boring Company too, everything Elon works on is to help humans get to Mars. So that's not a bad idea. We do talk about that a lot on that Our Ludicrous Future podcast that I just talked about. So yeah. Dustin, this has been one busy day. Love it. I love it too. I'm excited about it, but man, it's been a busy day. Oh yeah. This is from Will Black. Cameras won't work after deployment. Yeah, like I said, they just were not even going to cover deployment. So, thank you so much, Dougal. I appreciate that. It was fun to talk to my friends. Like I said, thank you so much, Macbeth. I really appreciate that. It was a great launch. Thomas wants to know, what's that website that shows future rocket trajectories? That is flightclub.io. Flightclub.io. That is Declan Murphy. We use some of his telemetry. Simulated telemetry and his numbers here in some of our launches. Awesome work. Definitely check it out. Uber can exist even though there's buses. Love it. There you go, Dylan. Yep. Put that on a placard and remember that there's room for different size vehicles catering to different needs. Starship will change the game for sure, and people are gonna have to compete with it for sure. Like, don't get me wrong, but there's still going to be a need for smaller, more localized, and more direct flights and stuff. So. Leah, thank you very much, Leah. This is random, but do you think we could ever get a Giraffe Astronaut shirt? Also, Space, if those of you unfamiliar, look up Giraffe Astronaut, or don't look up Giraffe Astronaut on YouTube, please don't. Also, spaceflight may be getting to the point where you will have to limit what you live stream. It's a sign of progress. You're right, Leah. You're absolutely right. Probably not a Giraffe Astronaut shirt unless I can actually make it cool. That's one of the things we're struggling with, is we want the merchandise to actually just be cool and not like totally inside joke silly. Like, I want it to be cool enough that people will wear it not even knowing what it means, or just because they think it's cool, and it kind of help inadvertently get them into spaceflight. Like, it's kind of a whole nother wing of Everyday Astronaut is the merchandise, to make it not about necessarily those of us in the community already, but even like make it cool, helping to brand spaceflight to be cool and exciting so that people want to just wear nerdy gear and start having conversations about it and being like, oh, that's cool. You know, like, it's all about getting people excited and actually helping to rebrand space again, you know, like it was during the Apollo era. It was cool then, and it's getting cool again. And yeah, so that's that answer. Casey Red Dragon, hey, if there is no air in space, what is the rocket exhaust pushing against? Nothing. It's not pushing against anything. That is a very common question people have. Imagine, if you will, that I'm sitting in this chair right now, right? And this chair has wheels, so I can, go like this. If I had a cannonball and I throw a cannonball, it's going to push back on me exactly as much as I push on it. Now, of course, its mass is a lot lighter, so it's not going to exert proportionally as much force as I'm exerting on it. So it's going to go a lot further. But it's not that me pushing on the cannonball pushed against the air and then the air pushed me. No. It's literally the force is equal and opposite. It's Newton's third law, equal and opposite force. Now, the thing is, imagine doing that on an ice skating rink in a vacuum. Imagine you're just in this big ice skating rink and it's a vacuum, all the air is sucked out, and let's say you had a machine gun, like a Tommy gun, and you just go and started shooting. There's no air to push against you. That recoil will be hitting you and literally throwing you back and shooting you in the opposite direction of the bullets on that ice rink. It's the same principle. And in space, instead of bullets, they're teeny tiny little molecules being ejected at thousands of kilometers an hour, or even kilometers per second. Like 4,000 kilometers a second is how fast the exhaust is shooting out on a hydrogen engine. It's shooting out extremely fast, constantly. Just a absolute nozzle, like literally the exhaust is just a parade of molecules getting shot out, and that force going out that fast is pushing equal and opposite against the vehicle. Now, luckily, there's so much of it and it's so high power and going so fast that even though it's so little tiny molecules, there's so much of it that it actually does exert an awful lot of force, and it can do that in 400 meters per second. Is that right? Yeah. So it can do that even in the vacuum of space. It doesn't need to be pushing against another medium. It's not like a propeller, and not like a propeller in the water or anything either. Bob says, thank you for staying up with us. You're welcome. I'm going to sleep like a baby tonight, even though tomorrow is going to be Starship Hop, so I'll probably lose sleep just knowing if our stream's going to work tomorrow. Craig C says, I don't know. Peter didn't look too happy at the end there. I think he's still just like, it's not over until the mission's over. So I think he's just, I think he's just excited. David Foro, did Ben Solons from Our Ludicrous Future, did Ben Solons get Starbucks as a sponsor for OLF yet? No, he'll come in to our episodes every episode just holding up a Starbucks can or thing and just being like da da da, and it's become this like ridiculous joke. And who knows, maybe it's stupid enough that someday he'll get sponsored by Starbucks. I don't know. Jared, thank you so much for your hard work. It's super appreciated. Anything I can do to help, let me know. Well, Jared, you just helped right there. That helps. Everything I pretty much get from this project goes right back into trying to make better content. So we're constantly, like literally Andrew and I are making a list of gear like all the time to try to keep up with the demands, to try to increase our capacity and make better content. So yeah. Sahil P says, any updates on the Dear Moon project? I think it's just pinging on, it's just Starship progress. Like we're seeing progress literally every day. So Dear Moon's not going to happen until Starship happens. And you can pretty much gauge the progress of Dear Moon through that. So yeah. Thanks for the membership mental lapse. And Brian Clausen, how's it going? Brian, we have spent so much time together. We should send Christmas gifts. Seriously. Thank you again, Brian, for always, you're around very often. I really appreciate that. Good seeing you around. And Andrew Gassman, new membership. Thank you guys so much. I'm going to go ahead and get out of here so I can unwind and like unplug stuff for a minute before we have to do this all again tomorrow. And on Tuesday, the Starlink 11 mission, not done yet. And Andrew and I are still working on editing a video together too, Apollo versus Artemis. And I have phone calls tomorrow. I'm going to be the guest on 2 podcasts this week. I'm going to be on Skeptic's Guide to the Universe on Wednesday, which I'm really excited for. And then also one with the Griffith Observatory on Friday as well. So I'm going to have a conversation with them about Starlink and how it's affecting what they're doing. And I'm really excited about that. So that'll be, I've posted it on social media, but pay attention. When that comes out, I'll let you guys know too. I think that'll be really good because I want to ask us experts about this stuff. Like, I have my opinion on why I think Starlink is impactful for humanity, but I'm very open and really eager to learn from the actual experts who that is their job, to be able to do that. So Oh, here's one more question from V-Lord. V-Lord, if you listened to our Ludicrous Future, we've talked about this multiple times. What do you think SpaceX will do for artificial gravity on SpaceX? What if they tether the nose and span them? Yes, there is a great YouTube video about that. They need to have gravity in the same direction you would when the crafter landed. Absolutely. Someday, eventually. It's just not a huge deal. It's not a huge deal, especially for like moon trips. You probably don't need it. Although it would help if you lived on the moon for say 2 months or 3 months, if you could get on a ship and during the 5-day trip home, if it's Artemis as opposed to 3, if they slowly spun it up and slowly got you more and more adjusted to gravity, by the time you came home and landed, you'd probably be ready to go and like not sick and weak. So it might not be a bad idea in the future, but, for now it's not that big of a deal. People have lived in space for a year without any substantial long-term effects, just some hard, transitions and things like that. So someday, there's nothing physically impossible about that. I won't say it's not going to happen, but I don't think it's a priority right now. So, all right, everybody. I really appreciate you guys hanging out with me. It's been a long day, and you guys are awesome. Every one of you that comes in here and hangs out, you guys all make what I do fun and engaging and worth it. So I really appreciate it. You guys are incredible. We have one more from Andrew. Thanks for the iTunes shout out earlier. Now I have something to listen to while watching the tanks at 2 a.m. Yes, absolutely, Andrew. All my music's always been up on Spotify and iTunes and stuff too. But there will be more coming out here really soon. So you guys are about to hear one of those songs right now. So if you like my music, check it out on iTunes or Spotify. Everyday Astronaut, and it's Maximum Aerodynamic Pressure is the name of the album. So with that, let's listen to some Maximum Aerodynamic Pressure. Oh, David, you got in just in time. Yes, I probably would ride on New Shepard. I think New Shepard looks like a nice, simple, safe, and good solution for a nice suborbital flight. I think I would do that. All right, here we go. That's going to do it for me. I'm Tim Dodd, the Everyday Astronaut, bringing space down to Earth for everyday people after a long day. We'll see you guys probably tomorrow and for sure Tuesday most likely. So, all right, we'll see you guys. Have a good one.